1st of July, 16th of Tammuz. We promised you Phil Rosen, and we've got him. A couple of days ago, Phil saw the JM and the AM Nachum Segal Network newsletter, and saw that we were discussing, obviously, the current political situation and doing a whole bunch of stuff on it. And he said to me off the air that he can give a perspective on the U.S.-Israel relationship at this time that others are not giving, and that should be interesting to hear. He also, he and I have differed on the progression of the Israeli government since October 7th, a couple of years back. But nonetheless, we completely respect each other's opinions, and I thank him for that because he does not dismiss opinions that may not be like his own. He's chairman emeritus of Likud USA. He is chairman of the World Jewish Congress and a board member up at Yeshiva University. Phil Rosen is with us live via telephone. A pleasure to welcome you back to JM and the AM.
Good morning, Nachum. It's great to be back, and I thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
A pleasure, and I appreciate the fact that, for a couple of years now, there's so much that we disagree about, and you are so gracious and never dismiss someone else's opinion on what's happening with Israel and the U.S. So I appreciate that and look forward to your input this morning.
Great. I mean, that's the way we're supposed to act. You're supposed to disagree, but you're supposed to appreciate the other person's opinion and continue to like them tremendously. So
100%. If only everybody would follow those ground rules. All right, here we go. You know what set off the most recent round of heated discussions in the Jewish world, and that was the movement of the White House to create a memo of understanding and get some type of negotiation underway and then eventually sealed, if we can call it sealed already, with the country of Iran and its leadership. And this really got a lot of people who are in the Zionist community and who love Israel very, very upset, felt it was very Obama-like, felt it might be worse than Obama, felt that President Trump, who really has to be commended for being, as he has described, the best president Israel's ever had. I don't even know that's disputable. It really got everybody to question what he was doing and whether he had Israel's interests at heart. So what was your take on what the White House did and what's happening now with this negotiation process with Iran?
So, Nachum, first of all, I believe that what we've seen in the last couple of years is, as you said, the best friend Israel's ever had. You had the United States helping Israel eliminate several existential threats that have existed for centuries, and that includes the nuclear threat in Iran, that includes Hezbollah, that includes, and I'll get back to that in a second, that includes a bunch of friends, friends meaning friends of Iran, that want to destroy Israel. And I think that that's how you start the discussion, which is let's take note of the good stuff that's happened to us as a result of President Trump. I think right now what we have to look at is we have to look at the existential threats that have been eliminated, and at the same time look at the long-term picture, which I think President Trump will continue to help Israel. I was there a week and a half ago, and I went to the Air Force Base to see the F-35 planes, which is magnificent Air Force vehicle. And I don't know how many there were, 20, 25, which we walked through. And when we got there, we were told that, since there's a memo of understanding being negotiated at that point in time that there wouldn't be military exercises, and the planes are all locked down. And about 5 minutes later, I see 4 F-16 jets take off, right at that moment. And I said to the guy in charge, I said, "What's the story?" He said, "You said there weren't going to be any exercises." He said, "Those are United States planes with United States pilots. And they operate on their own schedule. They operate together with us, but they don't practice at the same time that we do. And when we're in lockdown, they're not necessarily there," which was really heartwarming to see that. Also heard all the stories about how the U.S. military and the Israeli military are operating together in the closest relationship that the United States has had to another army in history, including World War II, which is magnificent. So we look at that and we say to ourselves, what's this memo of understanding? My gut says the memo of understanding is to try to move forward on the Iran front. I don't believe that they signed a peace treaty. This is a memo of understanding, and they're pretty clear that it's not a peace treaty. It's not a document that's going to live forever. This is a document that gets you to a couple of months. Some may say it's a document that gets you to the midterm elections. But in any event, it's not something that's written in stone. And you can see that Iran, as right after it signed the agreement, tested the value of the agreement by attacking ships
right
in the Straits of Hormuz. I believe that Trump has a short-term plan, a medium-term plan, and a long-term plan. And for us, people who love Israel, I think we have to look at the long-term plan. He's got 3 more years of presidency. He's got a lot that he can accomplish, number one. Number two is he's also going to set the stage for his legacy to continue after him. And in my mind, the legacy continues with somebody like Marco Rubio taking over and continuing the amazing work that the president did for the state of for America and for the state of Israel.
All right, but before we get to the next president, though, do you think it would be very different if the midterms were not looming? Do you think that this whole memo of understanding episode would have been completely different if not for the timing of the upcoming elections?
It's a great question. I don't know. The great thing about President Trump is none of us know exactly what he's thinking. And that has bowed to our benefit tremendously over the last couple of years. And I think the midterms probably have something to do with it, but I can't say for sure.
And why Rubio? In other words, it is 3 years out, and already someone like yourself who weighs all these things, in a very calculated fashion, you've already announced, as you just said here on the air, that there is a specific potential candidate that you're looking at. Why him?
So I don't know if you remember Nachum. I was sorry about that.
No problem.
I was Rubio's co-chair of his campaign when he ran for president. So I've had a relationship with him almost a decade.
And you think he could win? Obviously,
I think he's the right guy. I'm positive that he can win, and I think that the president is weighing the possibility of who he's going to support. I haven't heard anything about that except two things. First of all, every time the president goes through his cabinet, like at the State of the Union address and several times since then, the president says, he goes through the people by name and their job. He says that Pete Hegseth's doing a magnificent job as Secretary of War. and he goes through the people. He always mentions the vice president just by name, and then he says, and the greatest Secretary of State in U.S. history, Marco Rubio. And he said that several times. I think he has great appreciation for Marco. He knows that Marco is very, 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 very loyal to him, and I think that means a lot to him. And I think they have agreement on where U.S. strength should be and how much we need to help Israel. And I think they're going to continue on that path.
All right, Phil Rosen is with us. Okay, Phil. Now the topic that and the real reason why you and I felt we should talk on the air. Very few people know the Prime Minister of Israel like you do. Obviously, you have a relationship with him and with the President of the United States. There is concern that because of everything we've discussed and because of what's happened over the last couple of weeks, that in fact there is a rift between the two of them. That the President Trump is saying things publicly about the Prime Minister that he never would have said in the past. What is your evaluation of their relationship today on July the 1st?
I think it's an excellent relationship, and I think when he says things about the Prime Minister, he's not saying it in order to hurt the Prime Minister, and he's not saying it because he thinks any less of the Prime Minister than he has. He calls him the greatest wartime Prime Minister in history, and I doubt he'll step away from that designation. I don't think he wants to get involved in the Israeli elections, and I think that's very smart, as opposed to Bill Clinton, who stepped directly into the Israeli elections in support of Perez. I don't think that President Trump wants to step in. I think he'll let Israel make their own decisions as to who supports them going forward. I think that the title, the greatest wartime Prime Minister in history, is an apt one. I think that the Prime Minister since October 7th has led Israel on a path, and with the help of the United States, destroying seven different existential threats, 7 different wars at the same time. And it's pretty impressive. I don't think, we have to take a step back and look at the big picture. And we have to say to ourselves, think about where we could be if we didn't have a Prime Minister who was so adept at fighting battles, and if we didn't have this president supporting him. You drive, just go through Ben Gurion Airport and see which planes are, you don't have Delta and United, but you have United States of America warships and planes in every single open gate. And it's a magnificent sight. And for someone like me who basically worships the fighters, I say to myself, thank God that this is existing, and thank God this help is there.
Oh, we totally agree with you on that. Did you cringe? Did you find it cringeworthy when he publicly called out Netanyahu for the activities in Lebanon, etc.? Like, did that worry you a bit or not?
No, I think. Listen, he knows Netanyahu has an unbelievable job. I think he thinks that Netanyahu has the toughest job that exists in the world today, and I agree with that. I think that when President Trump talks, he doesn't necessarily mince his words. He says things that pop into his head, and sometimes it's a little harsh. I've watched him, when I represented him, I watched him say things that almost made me cringe. And then I thought to myself, but look at what he does.
Right.
Look at what he does. Look at the great things he does.
Yeah, actions do. We always say actions speak louder than words, and that's why I've been very careful not to go that crazy on the president. A lot of people are going nuts, but I think you got to really think about the entire list of things that he's come through with before you just go ahead and blindly condemn him for recent statements. Finally, Phil, 50 years ago this week, one of the greatest miracles, of course, Tzahal, the IDF, pulled off the amazing rescue at Entebbe. I bring it up because, first of all, I think it's worth mentioning, and a lot of people in this audience who are too young need to read up on it. But aside from that, I remember exactly where I was when I heard the news of the rescue. Do you remember where you were when you heard the news of the rescue?
Yes, I think I was in school. It's July 1, so
right.
If I was in school, it was probably doing something after school activities or something like that. But I remember very well listening to the news. I've since met a bunch of the pilots who were involved in the rescue operation, and
wow.
Every time I see one of them, I think to myself, wow. The fact that they went in the darkness to an airport that nobody's ever been to rescue Jews, that's the way we should act. I remember my father telling me after World War II, he wishes that we had people out there trying to help the Jews who were in trouble.
Yeah, you've said this to us before on the air, and my God, I wish people out there would be affected by it the way you are. We're in a unique time, folks. We're in a unique time where, thank God, the IDF and obviously the collective presence of the state of Israel protects Jews all over the world. That's the bottom line. I remember saying that. I'm sure you say it all the time to Israeli soldiers, thank you for protecting us in New York, and they look at you like you're out of your mind, right? but that's the reality. That's the reality. All right, so Phil Rosen has publicly declared on JM and the AM, don't panic, folks. Don't panic. He is very confident in the United States-Israel relationship. Would that be a fair assessment, Phil?
Exactly.
God bless you. Have an amazing summer, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a great summer, and I hope it goes great for you and the show.
Appreciate that very much.
By the way,
yeah.
We didn't discuss what we always talk about at the end, which is the YU basketball team.
I saw that they every time I turn around, another kid is committed to YU. Are all these really, and they're all high quality, good players, right?
They're excellent players. I hats off to Elliot Steinmetz and his team for recruiting these kids, including Tamir Goodman's son, who's coming to YU, which is a nice twist of fate.
You could say that.
In fact, Tamir should have gone to YU. I think his path would have been different, but I think that this team is going to be great. And I think that's a real credit to the people. And I think YU's doing amazing things. I think Ari Berman's done a fabulous job as president. And besides the basketball team, there's the dental school and all sorts of amazing developments at YU. So as an alumnus, you should be very proud.
I appreciate that. When you say dental, people need to realize it's literally just been founded, right? Like this is a big major new development.
Exactly. It's got 100 people in the first class, so they're doing very, very well. The class is located in Herald Square in the Midtown campus. A new project, the Herald Square building. And it's fantastic, really fantastic. So credit to the leadership of YU. And again, we should all be very proud.
Where do you spend the summer? Israel, the United States, the Catskills, Florida? Where are you during the summer?
Not the Catskills. They're not Florida. I go back and forth from Israel to Europe. Actually, in my role as World Jewish Congress chairman.
Oh, wow.
I'm traveling the world, meeting with leaders of countries. I met with the leader of Germany, and I'm meeting with all of these leaders throughout the summer. So please God, I should be able to develop some relationships and help out Jews all around the world.
When you get
my role.
When you get to England, make sure you know which one's the leader.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm going to England. I'm going to Canada. I'm going to all the places that.
Some of these countries, you need a scorecard to keep track of who's in and who's out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right, Phil. Thank you so much.
Take care, Nachum. Stay well.
Always a pleasure. Phil Rosen, everybody. You need a scorecard is right. Phil is chair emeritus of Likud USA, chairman of the World Jewish Congress, as you just heard him mention, a proud board member up at Yeshiva University, and somebody who's very confident, even today on July the 1st of 2026, in the Israel-U.S. relationship. It's America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored digital radio around the world, the web at NachumSegal.com and the Nachum Segal Network, and, of course, on the beloved NSN app.